We begin this morning with freshman Congressman Mike Lawler from New York's 17th district. That includes Rockland, Putnam, and portions of Westchester and Dutchess counties. Congressman, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Speaker McCarthy laid out a plan that would raise the debt ceiling by $1.5 trillion. It also claws back some social programs, claws back money for COVID relief, cancels out the student debt proposal that President Biden had launched. Do you plan to support it? The vote is expected to be next week, I believe. Do you plan to say yes?
Well, we're obviously continuing to work through the plan that the speaker has put forth. But generally speaking, the framework, yes. The bottom line here is this. The president and Senator Schumer must negotiate with Speaker McCarthy. We must cut spending over the long term, and we must not default. Those have been my three parameters from the very beginning. Obviously, the president and the Senate Majority Leader have taken the tack that the Republicans in the House need to pass something first to get to the negotiating table. So we're going to be passing a bill. Obviously, the speaker has put forth his bill, and the conference is working through it. And then once we have passed that, then it's going to be incumbent upon the president and the Senate Majority Leader to negotiate. And the bottom line here is this. You just talked about the fact that our national debt is over $31 trillion. Spending has increased by over $5 trillion in the last 2 years. This is unsustainable. And yes, we need to pay our previous debts incurred, but we cannot continue to borrow and print new money at these rates. And so we all need to have an honest discussion and a sincere negotiation to come forward with a plan that we can all live with moving forward to rein in spending, reduce our debt, and get our country back on the fiscal path.
And just one more on the debt, because, a lot of people are asking, all what you said is valid, and the discussion does have to be made about future spending. But why not set that aside? Because we're running into this deadline here. Late June, maybe July, the Treasury Department worried that we could, for the first time ever, default on the debt, which would be catastrophic economically. All basically economic observers say that. So why not have this debate separately from the spending debate? Why not just raise the ceiling and then talk about spending in some other time?
Well, look, most major spending reforms have in the past been tied to the debt ceiling negotiation. President Biden, as Vice President Biden, just a little over a decade ago, was the chief negotiator for the Obama administration with House Republicans to come up with a plan moving forward back in 2011. So this is nothing new. And I think the bottom line here is that the White House needs to recognize they do not have one-party rule anymore. This is not a dictatorship. The House Republican majority was elected to be a check and balance on the reckless, out-of-control spending that was coming out of the 2 years of complete Democrat control in Washington. And we need to get our economy back on the right fiscal track. We are dealing with record inflation, which has been driven by this reckless, out-of-control spending. And the only way to reduce inflation, bring down the cost of living, is to rein in reckless government spending and increase domestic production of energy.